us who are here for the first time, any single person here can admit that this is one of the single most important events that happens during the year. But it doesn't just happen magically. We don't just all drive here and have these speakers set up and have all of this and have the tent set up and all that. It's done by a committee, again being one of them that we recognized earlier. But I would, before Bruce speaks, like to give recognition to every person that's been a part of the Manzanar committee. If we can give them a round of applause. And at the helm of that committee is Mr. Bruce Embrey. So with that, I'd like to introduce him as well.
Welcome, welcome. I'm actually just a water boy and get blamed for everything that goes wrong. So I don't know about helms, but I have the bruises to prove it. But we wanted to welcome you, and we want to thank you for coming today. We actually believe that the 47th annual Manzanar pilgrimage has a renewed significance. In case you don't watch TV, the climate in this country has taken a very dangerous turn, and there are voices daily that are being heard that we would like to counter and speak against. Now, we've been coming for 47 years. And we've been coming for many, many reasons. Basically, we come to honor our families and honor our community. And we want to honor all those who were stripped of their constitutional rights and forced to live behind barbed wire. We also come to pay our respects to those who never returned home. And that's why we do it here. Today, we come to honor the children of Children's Village. We want to pay tribute to not only the orphans, but to those who nurtured and cared for them while they lived in this site. We come here since 1969 to remind ourselves, but perhaps more importantly, to remind our country that our constitutional rights, our civil liberties are precious and must be safeguarded at all times. What was not so clear in 1969 when the pilgrimage began was that by coming back to the dusty remains of Manzanar or Tule Lake or Poston or Hart Mountain or any of the other 10 War Relocation Authority camps or the Crystal City where Special Rendition brought Japanese from Latin America to the United States to be used as hostages during the war, what wasn't so clear was how empowered our community would become. Empowered enough to speak of this atrocity straight to the halls of power. We went to the congressional hearings, we went to the congressional offices, and we won the hearts and minds of our nation. In 1988, the Civil Liberties Act was passed, and we won. We triumphed, we received an apology, and a nation, a president, and our Congress said they were sorry. But did we truly win? As Gans said, this is not simply a Japanese-American story. This is an American story. This is an atrocity that happened on American soil, nowhere else. What came to light in the course of that apology and the decades-long struggle for redress was that the reasons behind the forced removal of our community were simply race prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership. We know there was no military necessity to incarcerate 101 orphans. We know there was no military necessity to place anyone behind barbed wire. Our community knew this. Many in 1942 knew this. Yet few, in fact, stood up to say, this is wrong. And despite this apology, and despite what we want as a community, there are voices today that question whether or not the forced removal was possibly necessary. Presidential candidates, elected officials, mayors in Virginia, and even a general of the United States military dare to suggest on national news that it may have been an important thing to do and may actually be precedent to incarcerate or to excuse their vilification of another community. As we stand here today, this vilification of Muslims and Arab Americans continues simply for speaking their language and worshiping the religion of their choice. Just as our community spoke the language and worshiped a different religion than what many in America did, the same occurs today. They're considered the enemy. They were considered spies, saboteurs, and a threat to society, just like our community was not that long ago. Fortunately, today, we have political leadership who do speak out against this. Congressman Mike Honda, Takano, former Secretary of Transportation Norman Mineta, Ted Lieu, Judy Chu are just a few of those in Congress and elsewhere who speak out against this war hysteria and this racism. And today, we must add our voice. We must say that no one, no people, regardless of where they came from, what language they speak, what religion they practice, should ever lose their constitutional rights and be incarcerated or vilified simply for looking like the enemy. Today we'll hear stories of resilience. We'll hear stories of incredible strength of the human spirit. We'll hear stories of triumph over adversity. Keep these stories in mind. Remember them whenever we hear of some tragedy or some horrific event. Remember what our families and what our community, what our fellow Americans endured not that long ago. We must remember so that America does not forget. For the sake of the children, help us tell our amazing story. Join us so that what happened to our families will never happen again to anyone, anywhere.